To learn about the off-grid lifestyle and to be inspired to live your dreams, click subscribe so you don't miss anything. Hit the bell notification. All right, so thought I'd show you some more footage of the chicks. They just growing so fast, it's incredible. Before I get started, I will admit that I'm behind on videos quite a bit. 2 days ago, I was feeling a little sick. I don't know what it was. I ate some peanut butter later in the day and I felt a lot better after that. So it must have been some sort of hypoglycemic thing. I've never felt like that before. So I don't know. So I didn't make a video that day. And then that night I did, after I ate the peanut butter, I made a video about the chickens. And then yesterday I had a problem with my chimney on my wood stove. So I had to take care of that problem. Now, normally I would have recorded that. The problem with the chimney was I was on the roof. Recording anything while I'm on the roof is just absolutely, it's the hardest thing I've ever done. When I was building a tiny house, I did that. I mean, that was a whole video series, was me building a tiny house, so I had to take the camera up there. Oh, it was difficult. So I didn't make a video yesterday about that. So I got to get caught up. What'll happen is if I get sick again, I won't have any videos to post. So I got to get busy and make some videos. So 3 days ago, I started working on the chicken coop for these guys, these ladies. And of course, I only got one wall done. So I got to clean this chicken coop today. It's all messed up. They mess it up pretty fast now that they're growing so fast. But look at them, they're all flying around and having a good time. I wanted to talk a little bit about the feasibility of even owning chickens in your neighborhood. More and more municipalities are allowing people to have chickens if they don't have roosters, kind of like a pet. And in my mind, really no reason why you can't have a chicken. I mean, it seems silly. Now, the thing about the state of Missouri is they consider chickens farm animals, and so they're taxed. And I find that absolutely incredible. So in Missouri, it's actually better if you can own ducks because they don't tax ducks. They don't consider ducks farm animals, I guess. So each one of these, I have to register them on my taxes, my personal property taxes. Now, I suspect that a lot of states do that as well, cows and pigs and all that. So be aware of that if you get chickens. But I lived in a small municipality, years ago, just north of here, a couple hundred miles north of here. And we had chickens and ducks and goats, sheep in our backyard. And it was just a small yard. I mean, I don't know how many acreages it was. It wasn't much. It was just a backyard. And we had a full-size garden. Pretty much by the time we left, the entire backyard was either farm animals or garden. As a matter of fact, some of the farm animal area, I actually planted corn in. Now, the thing is, you got to be careful with the noise. You don't want to disturb the neighbors. So like a rooster is a bad idea. The problem with not having a rooster is roosters help protect the chickens, the rest of the chickens. Of course, you want to fence in your yard, and you want to make sure that they can't fly over. And we had ours at 6 feet, and then we cut the wings. You always just cut one side of the wings, just trim the feathers, and then they can't fly. Now, the goats, I had pygmy goats, and they were really nice farm animals. I really enjoyed those, got milk from them. But in order to have milk, you had to have a kid. So the goat would have to have a kid. Well, when you're trying to wean the kid away from the mom, the mom goes ballistic. She just can't stand it. Just the whole time, just screaming up a storm. So that may not be a good idea. I mean, that's just as bad as a rooster, if not worse, because you got this odd noise and the neighbors are really peeking around trying to figure out what it is. But I do think there's some advantages to having a chicken. Again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I've tried really hard not to be. But we do sometimes have economic issues. I mean, just last year, we were put on restrictions, couldn't travel a lot for a whole month, I think it was. So having eggs, I would have never left the property, especially if they can free range and get plenty of food. If you keep several bags of food, I mean, they'll last forever. You can get a 50-pound bag of food and it'll last a month. So if you got 5 or 6 bags of food, you're up 5-6 months of free food that you can get from your chickens. Now, if you got ducks are the same way. But of course, ducks, you want to make sure you got some water that they can swim in. Now, what we did when I had ducks was I got one of those kids swimming pools and built a little ramp into it. They seem to enjoy that quite a bit. So, I mean, it was an easy problem to solve. So anyway, I got to clean this out, and then I got to go out and I got to fill the water tank. Okay, so this is a chore I do, maybe once a week, every 2 weeks, something like that. Just, however much water we use. And it varies depending on what's going on. Recently, I've gotten dirty quite a bit working on different things. So Carolyn's got to do more laundry, I take more showers. So I mean, these are obvious things, but things you got to think about when you're living off grid. I've said many times in previous videos that my well has a cracked well casing. So that means dirty groundwater is getting into my fresh well water, which is down there at the bedrock. So I have to flush out my well every time I use it. I flushed it out 3 times now before I actually get any clean water out of it. Now I'm going to fix that this year. It's not that big of a deal. All I got to do is get some 4-inch PVC. They sell this little boot that costs $100. So for $200 or $300, I'm going to fix that this summer. My biggest concern is that I mess something up and then I don't have a well, but I've seen lots of videos on it. A lot of amateur people do it, so I think it'll be all right. But if I don't fix it soon, the whole well could cave in on itself, and then I wouldn't have a well anyway, so I got to fix it. Since the well is dirty, I use bleach to purify the water. Now, I know there's a lot of people that object to that. If you go to the FTC's website, this is actually used for emergency situations where you can purify water. It tastes terrible, so we don't drink it. What we do is we take this water that's been bleached and we put it through our Berkey water filtration system. Not a sponsor of Berkey, but we really like the Berkey. I've had it for years, and the Berkey removes everything. I mean, I wouldn't even need to use bleach water. I could take it straight out of the well. I've used the Berkey to take waters right out of streams and springs and that kind of thing. But it's just convenient to take it out of the tank here. So the Berkey also removes the chlorine. Now, the other thing is you can boil the bleach out. So we use this water for our coffee. We don't use Berkey water. And then we boil the bleach out. It's all perfectly safe. So some options if you got to use dirty water. Now, a lot of people tell me that I need a rainwater collection system. That's the pump to the tank. I use an RV pump, so I pump the water out of the tank into the house. Now, as far as a rain collection, yeah, that's an option. And I seriously looked into that before we started looking into properties. This property has a well, so I don't really need to worry about it. The worst thing about my well is I have to run my generator. So if the generator ever burned up, I would have to go get a new one. That's about the only thing. But I got to have a generator anyways. Generator for backup electricity, it's something I'm never going to get away from. Solar panels are great, windmills are great if you have sun and wind. Well, we don't have wind here at all. So on the cloudy days, when it's cloudy for a week or two, I got to have a generator. So using a generator to fill the tank every couple weeks doesn't seem like a big thing to me. But as far as rainwater collection, if you get on Google, it will tell you how much roof surface you need and how much rain you get in your area. Just Google this information. It's actually quite a bit. I did this when I first started looking off-grid because that's what I was going to do. I was going to collect rainwater and then Berkey the rainwater. The thing is I don't have enough roof. And we knew that was going to be the case if we ever decided to do this, to collect rainwater. So we would have had to build extra buildings. So for example, we're going to build a shed down here. That was actually in my calculations for rainwater collection. So I'm not dismissing the idea. I think it's a great idea. A lot of people say use rainwater for the garden, but again, I really don't need to. I do filter the water that's going into the tank just to make sure it looks clean, where I'm not, taking showers with dirty water, just making myself more dirty. And like I said, the well is in pretty bad shape. So right now I got this coffee can kind of keeping the debris out. It works pretty good. The pipe here comes out of the well. It goes down about 100 feet, 130 feet. So I was over here getting everything collected. Here it is, just the beginning of March. What is it, March 3rd or 4th? And Carolyn's flowers are already starting to come up here. That's incredible. It was just snowing like 2 weeks. Okay, so I've never really told anybody how much chlorine to use per gallon of water, per glass of water, or anything. And I don't think I ever will. I just don't want to be held responsible if somebody messed this up and got sick. I've always recommended that you go to the FTC's website, the Federal Drug and Food Administration's website, and they'll tell you how much to use. But I just use a little tablespoon here. And I always do it while I'm filling. That way it mixes up really well. And also, a couple other things. While you're filling this with bleach, make sure nobody's using it, because I'm going to put all the bleach in there and it's going to be so strong until the water fills up. Now, the converse is also the same. Overfilling, I've had this happen before where I'll forget that I'm filling the tank. So I put all my bleach in there, and then for half an hour it runs over. Well, you've just diluted all your bleach out of there, and so now you got to basically drain the tank because you don't know what percentage of bleach you have to the water. So thought we'd bring them outside again. They seem to really enjoy it. They scratch around quite a bit. Also gives them that little grit that they need. I try to bring them out here to get them acclimated, because eventually they're going to come out here. So I've been trying to get them out here every day that it's warm enough for them to come out. So I hope I can inspire you to enjoy your dream. Thanks for watching.